Hey Teaheads, this is Don from Mayleaf. You know what? This morning, I have to say, I woke up feeling a little bit fed up. The politicians are driving me mad. I can't watch the news anymore because I just want to scream at the television. We're on our third lockdown here in London, so yet again we have to close part of our tea house for an undecided, undetermined amount of time. And the Brexit talks are still stalling while the EU and the UK play chicken with each other. And we are just waiting with undue amount of stress, just working behind the scenes to try to keep the business all afloat. So I thought, you know what I need today is to escape, just to escape this dusty world for a little bit and transport myself to a place of idyllic calm and artistry. And there is no place on earth that suits this more than Tong Mu village in Fujian province in China. If you've not seen our visit to the birthplace of black tea, Tong Mu village, then go check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. An incredible little village crafting the most spectacular black teas and is nestled in a secluded high mountain valley pass. It is the perfect escape, very difficult to get into if you're a foreigner, but once you're there, it is just the most picturesque, beautiful, secluded escape. You feel like you are just being transported back in time to a different world altogether. And I felt, you know what? Time to drink some Tong Mu black tea. So I have in front of me 3 black teas that we have from Tong Mu. We actually have 5 Tong Mu black teas in the Mayleaf collection. That's how much I love Tong Mu black teas. We've got our Longan Lapsang, which is a smoked black tea, which was the original black tea from Tong Mu. So smoked black tea was the first black tea being produced there. We've also got Gleaming Brow, aka Jinjin Mei, the most expensive black tea in the world. We don't have that currently in stock, but I've got some in my private collection, of course. So you can see this tea here, super fine pickings, an incredible tea that just smells of chocolates, roses, and lychees. And we've got 3 other unsmoked Tong Mu black teas. And for those of you raising your eyebrows thinking, oh, I thought we only had little Tong Mu and Souchong liquor, we have a new one, a new addition added to the roster. So I thought I would drink them together and we would compare the difference between these 3 unsmoked black teas. I could have added in Gleaming Brow, but I thought, you know, this is the most expensive black tea in the world. I'll save that for another session. So I'm going to put that down for a second here. We have Little Tong Mu. We've got Souchong liquor. Both of these are probably our, well, definitely our most popular black teas. The producer literally can't produce enough of these black teas every year for us. So Little Tong Mu, Souchong liquor, favorites. I'm sure a lot of you out there have tasted them already. And here we've got our new black tea from Tong Mu. This is called Poppy Roll Black, and you'll see why in a little bit. So Little Tong Mu, Souchong liquor, Poppy Roll Black. The scope on these are practically identical. April 2020. The cultivar is from the Souchong variety, so small leaf variety. They're all technically Lapsang Souchong or Zhengshan Souchong teas, although they are unsmoked. The classic Lapsang Souchong is a smoked one. And the origin, they're all from Tong Mu village, this amazing, incredible place that I wish I could just teleport to right now. The picking and processing is going to be different because these are being produced in different households, and that's the beautiful thing about Tong Mu village and the reason why we stock so many and the reason why I need this session to just indulge in the glory of the breadth of individuality that comes from this village. So the same tea cultivar produced in the same village, but different households producing wildly different results. So the picking and the processing, they're all going to be young leaves, but you can see here that they are different pickings. This one here is slightly larger picking. Souchong liquor is the smallest picking, and the Poppy Roll Black is in between. The Gleaming Brow is the finest picking. These are just buds. Very, very fine picking. And the elevation's around 1,200 to 1,400 meters. So identical scope and yet wildly different teas. So let's get into it. I definitely need a tea session today. You know, it's been a crazy year. Nobody needs to repeat it. It's sort of getting boring to talk about this year for everybody around the world. But those politicians know how to make something worse, don't they? Incredible. Bad decision after bad decision. Stack them on top of each other and you've got a situation that I don't know how long it's going to take for us to recover from, and you know, whether or not a lot of, well, I know a lot of small businesses are not recovering and they're all going under, and a lot of people are suffering, not just because of the economics, but also because of the health, secondary health aspects of all of this isolation and economic uncertainty. Right, moving to Tong Mu, escaping the politics. Let's get these leaves in here. I'm using my Gong Fu stems. You can see I'm brewing dry style here, keeping it simple. I've got the tiny guy ones, and I have got 3 different cups, and let's see how they go. Let's see. I'll do little Tong Mu in the porcelain, Souchong liquor in the Ruyao, and this is another cup which is just part of my collection. Right, you saw the difference in the color of the leaves. The Poppy Roll Black is less oxidized, looks less dark. Just show you again, compared with your Souchong liquors and your little Tong Mu's, right? So slightly lighter. Right, little Tong Mu, let's have a sniff. Oh, just fruits, incredible fruits. Some of the lychee that I was picking up in the Gleaming Brow Ginger May, but more sort of sweet raspberries. And then there's that nuttiness, hazelnut, a little bit of sort of Nutella, sort of light hazelnut chocolate. So it's very fruity and slightly chocolatey and nutty. Souchong liquor smacks you round the face with deep, dark cocoa, dark chocolate. A little bit of dried plums, like prunes, but very, very sweet side of those prunes. So very, very dry, very, very concentrated. Yeah, and chocolate, and the nuttiness is there as well, but more in the almonds versus the hazelnuts. Okay. So this is my 10-step tasting. I'm going to be using this to write my notes for Poppy Roll Black. You can tell I already have an idea about this. The reason why I called it Poppy Roll Black is that when I first tasted it, it really reminded me of those poppy roll pastries. In Hungary, they've got the bageli, I think, and then you've got different ones in different parts of usually sort of Central and Eastern Europe. I seem to be doing a lot of tasting notes from Central and Eastern Europe recently. I don't know why. But very, very sweet poppy seed sort of paste that's put into a roll, and it just reminded me of that pastry and that poppy seed. So let's see if it's the same. Yeah. So if you compare it to the others, this is the warmest of the bunch. This has much more malt. So I'm getting malt, malted milks, malt loaf, a little bit of that dried fruit, but tons and tons of poppy seeds. So if you've never had a poppy seed in a dessert, it might be difficult to describe. You may know poppy seeds just on top of bagels or something, but when you concentrate the poppy seeds into this paste, it has a very, very strong, it's moving towards nutty, but it's different. It's a different nuttiness compared to hazelnuts and almonds. Very, very poppy seed. There is a fruitiness, as I said, like malt loaf, a little bit of dried apricot as well. Very, very nice. Now, what I will say is that the Poppy Roll Black is, for me, actually, like, it reminds me of a really, really high quality Keeman tea or Chiman tea. Now, Cheeman tea and me, we have a sort of rocky relationship. I do really enjoy Cheeman. I've done a whole video of me visiting Cheeman and exploring this tea. I'll stick a link in the description below. It's an incredible tea. I do find that there's a lot, I would say the majority of Cheeman tea out there is underwhelming for me. And when you find one that's really good, it's spectacular, and it reminds me a lot like this. It's a little bit fruity, a lot of flowers, and lots of poppy seed and malt. And I have to say, like this year, we thought we had purchased a Cheeman tea, a superior Cheeman tea, and when it arrived, it was the wrong batch that they sent us. I did a video about that. So again, I'll stick a link in the description below so you can see what happens when we get the wrong batch of tea. And so we missed out again on Cheeman. Cheeman is one of those teas that I seem to be super unlucky with. First of all, I tend not to select it because I find that a lot of Cheeman out there is not worth the price. And when I do find it, I tend to get wrong batches sent to me for some reason. There's something about what's going on in Anhui province in Cheeman, I don't know. Anyway, next year, hopefully we'll get it. But Poppy Roll Black, if you like Cheeman tea, I think, okay, it's not exactly the same. There's a particular aroma in Cheeman tea that's slightly different, a sort of a flowery aroma that's slightly different, but you do get so much of that warm, malty poppy seed, and the flowers are maybe a little bit of rose, a lot of lilac, those kinds of notes. Okay, quick rinses. You know, I'm going to pour with my left hand here. Go straight into this clay bowl here. And let's see if we can escape the day-to-day for a little bit here. Got the same amount of leaf in, 4 grams, I believe, of leaf, or was it 4.5? Can't quite recall, but around that. And you could see that the Souchong liquor looked like less, but that is because it's smaller leaf, therefore it beds down more in the scoop or in the Gaiwan. Okay, here we go. Let's have a sniff of Little Tong Mu. It has that bug-bitten sort of smell to it, honeys and fruits. In fact, I often recommend people, if they like Eastern Beauty, Oriental Beauty, Dongfang Mei Ren, then Little Tong Mu is an excellent tea for them because it has a very similar sort of bright, fruity, high aromas without the extra price tag that comes from Oriental Beauty. It's a different tea. There are different characteristics, but there are similarities. I'm sure if you've tasted both, you would agree. Again, raspberries, very, very sweet. I'm getting like lychee syrup. The nuttiness is there. It's like Brazil nuts and hazelnuts, but like crushed down, like powdered. You know, it's not. It has a sort of confectioner's quality to it. Really, really lovely. The acidity there is almost a little bit like buttermilk raspberries, bright, aromatic, zesty. Some of those sort of yellow roses, zesty, floral, bright, fruity, with an undertone of sort of confection nuts. Totally different. Slightly savory in a way. It's got a little bit of a sort of sweet soy sauce, dark chocolate, baked apples, deep baked apples. The chocolate is so prominent though. But it's interesting, this little extra element of sweet soy reminds me a little bit of Japanese rice crackers that have that sweet soy glaze. Almost even has a bit of that starchiness, that nutty starchiness from those rice crackers. Chocolate. Yeah, I think baked apples is probably the best flavor note for the fruitiness. Okay, Poppy Roll Black. Oh, the most floral of the bunch. I'm getting lilacs. Oh, it's also I would say, this is the highest in terms of its sort of zesty brightness in the nose. This is the deepest and the more dense in terms of its aromatics. This is in between. Very clean, very clear smell. Poppy seeds are still there. Lilacs, roses, fruit. As it starts to cool down, it starts to bring a little bit more acidity in fruit. I'm again moving towards malt loaves. I'm moving towards those candied fruits, maybe a bit of dried sour cherries, and very, very floral. So really, really different, very, very different, and all delicious. I'm brewing at 95 degrees. Again, because I'm going to brew them all together, I will pour with my left hand and try to estimate how long it takes for me to pick up a go one and pour, and then have that time interval between my pours. How's everybody doing out there? Let me know how you're doing, how you're handling all of this. Hopefully your health is good. I know a lot of people out there have caught COVID. A lot of people have lost their sense of smell and taste, but it will return. I know a lot of people that have had that, and the senses return. I hope that you're all keeping well, and I hope that you're surviving the isolation if you are being isolated from your loved ones, and that the stress regarding your livelihood is not too heavy on you. Right. You can see they start to look a little bit more even in terms of their look now that they've been hydrated. This is still the lightest and the most green. In terms of the look, okay, the different cups don't really help, but it does appear that they're all relatively similar. Here we go. Little Tong Mu, a classic. Texture medium, bam, hit round the face with just this gorgeous fruit and flower aroma, muscatel, sweet dessert wines. Oh, been a while, been too long. It's interesting because whilst you have all of the raspberries and the lilacs and the rose and the lychee and all of those very high notes, there's a creaminess and a roundedness to the texture and the taste, which just offsets it really, really well. A touch of malt, a touch of wood, but the predominance is muscatel grapes, lilac, rose, and lychee. Gorgeous Souchong liquor. It's going to be interesting going straight from this one to the depths of Souchong liquor, and already as soon as I bring it to my nose, I can pick up that chocolate note. Oh yeah. It's different though. Deep chocolate, cocoa is there. I'm still getting a sort of the woodiness that was present in the Little Tong Mu is more accentuated, a little bit more charred. It has that sort of charred cask, bourbon cask note happening with the chocolate, and again, I want to say prunes, but very, very dry. Very, very dry. Maybe even like currants rather than prunes. You know, the small grapes that are very dry. So you take those dessert muscatel botrytized grapes that are the honeyed sort of dessert wine quality of this, and you dry it down. You dry it down and you make those little currants from those very tiny grapes, and that has a sort of slightly charred note to it. But that little sweet soy note persists. A little bit of sort of mirin and Japanese sweet soy note to it, which I haven't noticed in previous batches. Really complements the chocolatiness very, very well. And the finish, more quenching, more physicality. This one's softer, rounder, more physicality on this one, quenching to that very sweet juiciness that both of them will have. Easy drinking, soft, rounded. You can just drink that 24 hours a day. That is just an easy sipper. I'd be amazed if you find people that don't enjoy that tea. This one, deeper, richer. Probably more of a late night drink for me, a little bit more quenching, a bit more potent in its sort of physicality. Now, Poppy Roll Black. In between. It has the soft, rounded, easy drinking nature of Little Tong Mu, but it certainly has more quench, and it's got more bite, and it's got more of a central back of the tongue, quenching, mineral. It feels very brisk, bright. Again, reminds me of what I would expect from a Chiman or a Keeman tea, that briskness, that brightness. Taste. Imagine you've sort of taken the in-between of these and you're finding that you're getting fruits and flowers. So I'm getting lilacs for sure. I'm getting the fruitiness again of candied fruits and malt loaf. The malt is there, but I'm also getting that poppy seed nuttiness happening, and I'm getting like this confection note, so the poppy seed roll. So I'm getting like this sweet dough, moving a little bit into sort of oatiness, you know, like oat bars or flapjacks. So maybe a little bit more vanillaed, sort of vanilla flapjacks, caramels, poppy seed paste, that very specific sweet, quite dense dough that is made with that is used for making those bagelies in Hungary, which they sometimes use. They do a walnut one and a poppy seed one, but this really reminds me of the poppy seed variety. And the finish is more juicy, I would say, and the juiciness is really distinctly located in the back sides of the tongue. Here, you know, it has that chewy feeling. When you see a tasting note that talks about chewiness, I sort of ascribe it to this feeling like your saliva glands back here are producing so much saliva, you feel you need to sort of swallow them and move your mouth around, because it's sort of flooding there with this very icing sugar sweet note, which is again very confectioner, like icing sugar. Yeah, so it lends itself, I would say, very well to pairing with desserts like the poppy seed desserts or sandwiches. It sort of has that Chiman, English breakfast, English afternoon tea quality. Not so much English breakfast, because that's become a little bit, yeah, I mean, people have been drinking far too much low quality English breakfast. So I don't really want to say that and make that connection. But I would say I would imagine it to be an amazing tea at pairing with foods, pairing with an afternoon tea, because of the fact that it's light, it's refreshing, it's easy drinking, it's bright, it's brisk, it's going to be able to stand up to the food and the flavour profile would certainly complement those kinds of cakes and biscuits and sandwiches. I need to try that. Maybe that's the subject of another video. Maybe I should get myself a Hungarian bagel and taste it alongside. Again, you can see here, I hope, this is the greenest of the bunch. And wow, the buffet of aroma that's just hitting my nose with all three of them. Ooh, double, triple drop session, mix them all up. Might do that as just as an experiment. Because yeah, I mean, all of the flavor profiles here are complementary and they all overlap like a Venn diagram. They all share certain notes. So the lilac and the rose exists here and exists here. There's a chocolatiness, the milk chocolatiness here, which also, you know, mirrors the deep cocoa and woodsy notes of the Souchong liquor, and the same here, that sort of caramel vanilla note. There's a lot of crossover here. All right, let's have another sip. Oh, soft, rounded fruit. You know, soft, rounded. You think, comfort, and then you get hit with this uprush of raspberries and lychees and rose. By far the brightest of the aromas. I'm going to go here to, I think that's probably the best way to taste them. Right. Yeah. More woods coming in, more quench, but still similar sorts of floweriness. Less of the raspberries, less of the lychees, more of the lilacs, the yellow roses. But then we're moving into the poppy seeds and the pastries, the malt loaves, and the woodsy, quench, dry to flooding, chewy juiciness, and Souchong liquor. Oh, deep, satisfying. Again, that I think would pair well with foods, but I would say that this one is more of your universal. This maybe you'd have to pick and choose your the food that you would pair it with very, very carefully, but it would stand up to it. This one, Little Tong Mu, I'd say is something that I would suggest drinking by itself, more of a solo sipper, maybe with a few little nuts on the side or something, but nothing that I would particularly be clamoring to pair with foods. Let's enjoy them all again, and then we're going to smell the empty cup. If you have never tasted any of these teas, I highly recommend that you get involved with Tong Mu unsmoked Lapsangs. They are, as I said, the most popular black teas that we have on our shop, and Tong Mu just continues to bring such a level of unique, broad tasting teas that all taste crafted. They all taste like there's a purpose and an intention behind everything. It feels like there's a freedom in the way that they're processing these teas. And certainly that's the impression that I got when I was there. Oh, love it. Love these teas. Putting me in much better mood than I was an hour ago. Yeah, that brightness, that cutting brightness of this, so it has like a mineral, like not texture, but like I want to say chalk or slate, but it has that slight cutting note that would make it really good for pairing. Very, very brisk, very, very in your face, but at the same time an easy sipper. And the balance on that, this is why I have a problem with a lot of Cheemans, is you've got to get the right balance. Because whilst you want a Cheeman tea to have that briskness, to have that character which is refreshing and bright, you also want that warmth, depth, rounded, luxurious quality to it. And too often they veer to the stony side too much. And that's why if I'd blind tasted this and you told me this is a achievement, I would totally believe you. It has all that malt loaf notes to it, but that really lovely dry, and again, transformative, dry to juicy, very, very juicy, very, very sweet. Okay, let's have a sniff of these empty cups. Oh. So the sour, acidic, sour cherry note, sweet as well. Sour cherries dusted with some icing sugar and a little spice, like almost like, you know how turmeric root, fresh turmeric root has a sort of Alfonso mango smell to it, sweet fruitiness that comes from those turmeric roots, fresh, not the powder, fresh turmeric root. So it's got that little spiciness happening. Ah, deep. Oh, like chocolate and ginger, crystallized ginger, dark chocolate, a little bit of charred, like melted chocolate. If you've taken it right to the limit, melted chocolate and crystallized ginger, whoa, or dark baked gingerbread. Oh, Christmassy. Okay, let's have a sniff of poppy seed black. See what we're getting. Oh, confectioner's delight. Icing sugar, that poppy seed bagely, maple syrup, a bright fresh air note to it as well, sort of a meadowy, floral, fresh note to it. Ah, incredible. So there you have it, 3 unsmoked Lapsang Souchongs, all from Tong Mu. Very, very different. Whilst having crossover, they are very, very different teas. I highly recommend that you sip through them and transport yourself to this incredible place. A great way to escape the day-to-day if you feel that the world is getting on top of you, as I did this morning. But that's what tea is all about anyway, right? A centerpiece to calm your mind, to regroup, refocus, reset, find new perspectives, and indulge in the most delightful aromatics. That's it, tea heads. Taste our teas wherever you are in the world by browsing mayleaf.com and come visit us if you're ever in London. Other than that, I'm Don from Mayleaf. Thank you for being a part of the revelation of true tea. Stay away from those tea bags. Keep drinking the good stuff and spread the word, because nobody deserves bad tea. Bye.